वांछित पूरण नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनेति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So Hare Krishna everybody. Today I've been asked to speak on Uttara from Ramayana. So Uttara, as you all know, is the last canto of Ramayana. It's a very emotional canto and not one that generally whenever they recite Ramayana Saptah, they generally don't recite Uttara because it's quite emotional. But having said that, I'll give you two options. You can pick which part of Uttara you want, first half or second half. So first half of Uttara that's right. So first half of Uttara explains all the secrets in Ramayana, like why Ravana, how Ravana got cursed, and how the demons gained all of their powers, how they captured Lanka. All of that is explained in the first half. Then the second half explains about Lord Ram's pastimes, his later pastimes. So up to you guys. You can choose which one you want to hear because if regardless of which one we pick, that will take 1 hour anyways. So first half. Okay. How many say first half?
Can you understand the second half without knowing the first half?
Yeah, you can understand the second half because basically in the first half all of the answers to Ramayana are given. So answers in the sense that whatever has happened in the first 6 cantos, why something has happened. Like for example, why was Surpanakha trying to destroy Ravana, for example? Many people don't know that. So that is answered. Why was Indrajit more powerful than even Ravana himself? Like for example, all of these things are answered in the first half. But that means that you will listen to Asura Katha. So you will hear about the demons and how they got boons and all of that. So that is the first half. Or the second half is the emotional one, and that contains pastimes of Lord Ram. Okay, second. Okay, I mean, if the host wants second part, then yeah, I can't say no. Yeah. I'll quickly summarize the first part, and then yeah, we can move on to the second part. So Uttar, yes, Mataji.
Move forward. Can we do it in Hindi so that Pitaji can also understand? I mean, like
There are-
if everyone else.
प्रभु सारे हिंदी वाले हैं.
I am not. I mean, I can speak in Hindi, but my Hindi vocabulary is not very good.
Let's do it in English.
English, yeah, I can try, but my technical words for Hindi are not very good.
अरे वो
So,
शॉर्ट फिल्म है.
okay, हाँ, ठीक है. I will try, but हाँ, देखते हैं. So,
चुनाव आ रहे हैं, जनता की सुनो.
सुनो सबकी करो अपने मन की. नहीं, we don't run with that anyways. सुनो सबकी करो शास्त्रों की. That is what we should go with. हाँ, but anyways, so first half of Uttar. So basically, Uttarakhand starts after Lord Ram has been coronated. So Lord Ram is actually, yeah. The other thing is all the kids also they can understand English, but a lot of them can't understand Hindi. So yeah, it's a bit of catch-22, unfortunately. Yeah. So it starts after Lord Ram's coronation. So Lord Ram has fought the battle of Lanka and then he is coronated. So when he is coronated, all of the Saptarishis come to visit Lord Ram. So Saptarishis come, and along with the Saptarishis, there are other 5 rishis that come with them. They all come to join the celebrations. So at this time, Vibhishan is there, Sugriva is there, all of the monkeys are there, and all of the relatives, all the other kings are there also, like the kingdom of Kekeya, he is there, and who's the other one? Janak Maharaj, they're all there. So everyone is there. So basically, when Lord Ram sees that the sages have come, so he decides to offer special respects to them. So he brings all of them and then he makes them sit down, washes all of their feet personally, and then he basically glorifies them. So then they also glorify Lord Ram in return. So they say that actually, like, Lord Ram's incarnation in this earth, they said that it has been successful because Lord Ram was able to kill Ravana and Kumbhakarna and Indrajit. They say that actually the killing of Indrajit was more important than killing of Ravana also. So Lord Ram becomes a bit curious about this, and he asks the sages that why are they more worried about the killing of Indrajit than they were of Ravana. So then, on behalf of all of the sages, Agastya Muni, he decides to recite the pastimes about how the demons came about. So that essentially is the first half of Uttara Kanda. So I will summarize that section quickly, and I will only relate the relevant parts of this. So once upon a time, there was one great sage known as Pulatsya Muni. So Pulatsya Muni had a son through a Gandharva or Apsara, whose name was Vishrava. And this Vishrava was also, Pulatsya was a Brahmana, and then Vishrava was also a Brahmana. So this Vishrava, he was also married to one Brahmana girl. So this was the daughter of Bharadwaja Rishi. So when she was married to Vishrava, he had a son. And that son was none other than Vaishravana. That was his name, Vaishravana, which means he is the son of Vishrava. So this Vaishravana, he did austerities for 10,000 years. And after performing austerity for 10,000 years, Brahmaji appeared. And Brahma was very happy and he said, what benediction would you like? So he said that actually my benediction is that I want to go to the heavenly planets and serve Indra in that capacity. So he said, okay, I will give you that benediction. He says, but I'm also so much pleased with your austerities that I will also make you a Lokpal. So what is a Lokpal? Lokpal is the guardians of different directions. So north, south, east, west, like that, there are directions. So like that, there are guardians of each direction. So the 4 Lokpals were, so well at that time there were only 3 Lokpals. And those Lokpals were essentially Indra, Yamraj and Varuna. So this Vaishravana became the 4th Lokpal and his name became Kuvera at that time. So Kuvera was, he became the treasurer of the demigods at that time. So because Brahmaji was so much pleased with him, he also gave him one chariot. He called this the Pushpaka Viman. So he gave him that celestial chariot also. And then he basically started to fly everywhere and, like do whatever he wants. So that was his first marriage. Then there were other 3 Rakshasas whose names were Mali, Sumali and Malyavan. Now Sumali, out of one of them, he had another daughter whose name was Kaikashi. So this Kaikashi, one day Sumali was looking around for, whom he can get his daughter married to. So he came across Vishrava also. So he told his daughter, go approach him. So this daughter Kaikashi, she approached Vishrava also. And then, but the problem was that Vishrava at that time was performing a sacrifice. He was doing a yagya. So this Kaikashi, when she approached him, she said that, I want you to marry me. So Vishrava said that, yeah, sure, I can marry you, but you have approached me at an inauspicious time because I'm doing a sacrifice. You should not come at this time. So he said that, what is your inner desire? She said that my inner desire is that I want to have a son from you. So he said that again, because you have approached me at a wrong time, he said that the sons that will be born of you will be Rakshasas, all of them. So then she became a bit disturbed. Even though her father was a Rakshasa, she didn't want her sons to be Rakshasas. So, I mean, it's funny that even Rakshasas know that, they're not that good. So, yeah, she didn't want her son to be Rakshasa. So she said that actually, can you please do something to alleviate this curse? So he said that what I can do is that your youngest son will be a Dharmatma. He says that is something I can promise, but I can't promise anything more than that. So then essentially she got married and then she had 4 children. Anyone knows who the 4 children were? Have a guess. Surpanakha was one, yes. Ravana. Yeah, Ravana was the eldest one. Then Kumkarna was there. Then Surpanakha and then Vibhishana. So Vibhishana was the last one. So when they were born, it is explained, their descriptions are given. So like, for example, when Lord Ram was born, he was extremely beautiful to look at. He was extremely black, but extremely beautiful also. But when these children were born, the description is given. So when the first child was born, he looked ugly, very ugly, and he had 10 heads. So his mother got scared immediately looking at him. Yeah. Then the next child was born, the next child was huge. So the mother also got scared looking at that child. The third child was Surpanakha and she was also extremely ugly, not good to look at. Yeah. And the fourth one was, he had some kind of ojas to him. So she could understand that this fourth one is the Dharmatma, who's going to become a Dharmatma. So it is explained that these 3 boys, first one was Dashagriva, second one was Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana. They all 3 go to perform austerities. They go to perform tapasya. And as they're performing tapasya, they perform tapasya for 10,000 years. Now, I'm not going into the details of the tapasya. It was very intense, tapasya they performed. And it is explained that Ravana, he sacrificed one head after every 1,000 years. He sacrificed one of his heads in tapasya. And as he was about to cut his last head in tapasya, Lord Brahma appeared in front of all of them and said, what benedictions do you want? So then Dashagriva says that, well, I want to become immortal in this world. But the problem is, Brahma said that even I'm not immortal, so I can't make you immortal. So ask for something else. So he said that, well, the benediction I would like is I don't want to be killed by the Devas, by the Gandharvas, by the Nagas, by the Siddhas, by the Asuras, by the Daityas, etc. He listed the whole thing. And then he said, I'm not worried about humans and animals because I eat them every day for breakfast. So he says, I'm not really worried about them, so I don't need to include them in my benediction. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like saying, like a human is asking for benediction from different animals, like I want to be protected from all of them. And then you see a butterfly and then you say, well, I don't want to be protected from a butterfly. It seems almost like an insult, especially for someone who's of Kshatriya nature. That's why, like, he didn't ask for protection from humans and animals. So Brahma said, yeah, that's fine. I will give you that benediction. So then the next person who got the benediction was Vibhishana. So Vibhishana, what benediction did he ask for? He said that I want the benediction that I always remain fixed in dharma and I always remain fixed in virtue. So Brahma became very pleased. He said, yes, you will always be remain fixed in dharma. I will give you another benediction. That benediction is that you will learn the art of firing the Brahmastra also. You will learn that. And so he was also very happy. Then the third one was Kumbhakarna. So when Kumbhakarna was about to ask a benediction, all the demigods became scared. Because Kumbhakarna, as soon as he was born, he had a huge appetite. And it is explained that he went and he started running and eating all of the rishis and eating all of the demigods also. So it was very distressful for everyone. So the demigods were saying that, well, if Kumbhakarna receives all of these benedictions, then he is going to become extremely powerful. So then they asked Brahma to do something. So Lord Brahma summoned his wife Saraswati and told Saraswati to go and sit on Kumbhakarna's tongue. So when he was asking for the benediction that, I want to have the appetite which is not satisfied even in 6 months, he instead asked, I want to have sleep which is not satisfied even in 6 months. So he ended up asking for something else through a slip of tongue. And as soon as his tongue slipped, Brahmaji granted Tathastu. He said, yes, there you go, this benediction is given now. So then Kumbhakarna, when he realized what he said, he understood that this is the act of the demigods. But he could not do anything because as soon as that benediction was granted, he had to sleep. So he was so sleepy that he told Ravana, you need to build a palace for me, like a very, very large palace. It is explained 80 miles long. So 80 miles long palace was built and he slept in that palace for, it is explained, for many years at a time. And he would only wake up for a few months and then again go to sleep for years on end. So many people have this misconception that he only woke up for 6 months and then slept for 6 months. But that's not the case actually. He slept for many years and then woke up for a few months. So that was the actual benediction he got. So then after they got these benedictions, Dashagriva, Kumbhakarna, they all became extremely, they became extremely happy. And they became extremely proud of their powers. They said that, now we can go and terrorize the whole world. So basically, Ravana's uncle, whose name is Sumali. Sumali is the one who had the daughter Kekashi. So Sumali approaches Ravana and he says that, this Lanka has been occupied by your stepbrother Kubera. So he says, you should ask him to vacate this. So Ravana says, he's my brother. He's like, we can go and share it with him. It's fine. Like, he will allow me to share it with him. Why do you want to kick him out? So then Sumali tells him, he says that actually, these demigods, they cannot be trusted. In a previous age, the demigods plotted against us and then they called Vamana and then they somehow tricked Bali Maharaj and they stole all of our possessions. So he said that these demigods can never be trusted. That's why it's better to kick them out completely. So then Dashagriva was thinking, yeah, that's a good idea. So he sends a messenger to Kuvera and asks him to vacate Lanka. So then at that point, Kuvera says that actually this has been given to me by my father, Vishrava. So I can't vacate it just like that. So Kuvera is, however, a bit doubtful. So he goes to his father and asks him, Ravana has come asking for Lanka. What should I do? So his father Vishrava was obviously a very learned Brahmana. So he said that actually Ravana's power, especially after doing the tapasya, has grown significantly. He said it's best not to mess with him. It's better you vacate the whole of Lanka and you go and live somewhere else. So Kuvera followed the order of his father and vacated that place. So then Ravana came inside and he started living there. Basically, some time passed, and Ravana eventually he became more power hungry. He realized that he has so much power that he can go and do whatever he wants. So basically, at that point, he started terrorizing the three worlds. So he started with his own loka. He started around the earth. He started going around killing all of the rishis, all of the devatas, etc. And then eventually, he started going to different places, challenging different kings, defeating them. And if they were defeated and if they were not willing to accept their defeat, he would kill them and eat them, essentially. That is also explained. So then Kuvera, his brother, he became a bit distressed at Ravana's activities and he thought as a brother he should give him some advice. So he sends a messenger to Ravana telling him that he should not do his demoniac activities, he should try to control himself, because Kuvera recites his own story actually. He says that once upon a time he was going about and he was going through Kailash, Mount Kailash, and over there he saw Shiva and Parvati sitting together. He says, I cast a dirty eye on Parvati. Kuvera is saying that. So he says, as soon as I cast that dirty eye, he said, one of my eyes became grey and my other eye was completely burnt. So he said, I had to perform austerities for almost 1,000 years without eating, without drinking, without doing all of that, so that I could get vision back in one eye. And even then, Shiva said, I can't give you your vision back in the other eye. So he only, Kuvera, that's why if you actually see pictures of Kuvera, he has one grey eye. So he was saying that the demigods are very, very powerful and they can completely destroy you. So he says it's better not to mess with them. So when Dashagriva heard this, he became extremely angry. So he said that, how dare my brother, my stepbrother, think that I am so important that I need to be scared of the demigods. He says, I find this very insulting. So the messenger that had come, basically Dashagriva chops his head off and then he eats the body and then he gives the body to his ministers, and all of them decide to eat the body. And then he says, now it is time that we go and attack Kuvera. So basically he decided to come and he went and started to attack Kuvera like anything. So Kuvera came to fight, but because of all the benedictions that Ravana had obtained, he was not able to do anything. In fact, what ended up happening is that Ravana took a club and hit Kuvera on the head and Kuvera fell down unconscious. So Ravana had no intentions of killing his brother. So he just announced his victory everywhere and then he left after that. So after this, he realized that, like I can go and do whatever I want. So then the next place he goes to, because Kuvera was taking shelter on Kailash, he says, like in Kailash also, in Mount Kailash, there is an inferior portion and there's a superior portion. In the inferior portion was where Kuvera was living. So then he decides that, I will go to the top where Shiva is living. So that I will conquer that region. So he goes there. So many people say that Ravana was a Shiv Bhakta, for example. But you should listen to how his Shiv Bhakti started, that also. So he wanted to go and fight with Shiva himself. So he goes there. And then when he goes there, it is described that he looks at Lord Shiva and challenges him. That, I want to fight with you. Shiva completely ignores him. Like, I don't care about what he's saying. So then to show his power, it is explained that Ravana started to lift the whole mountain of Kailash. And when Shiva noticed some disturbance and Parvati noticed some disturbance, Shiva just put his great toe down to squash Ravana. And because of that, his arms were squashed. And when his arms were squashed, he was crying very loudly. And then there was no sign of his being able to retrieve his arms. So then it is explained that his ministers came to him and told him that you should pray to Lord Shiva so that he will give you a benediction and he'll become pleased with you. So then he prayed to Shiva for 10,000 years. He recited hymns from the Rig Veda, etc. to please Lord Shiva. And then after 10,000 years, you can see this 10,000 years theme is there. But yeah, 10,000 years, then Shiva became very pleased and he said, okay, then he removed pressure from his foot. And then it is explained that Nandishwara decides to come at that point. Nandishwara is Lord Shiva's personal assistant. So then Shiva looks at Nandishwara and he laughs. He's like, who the hell are you? You look like a monkey. So he's like, why are you? So Nandishwara was also trying to stop Ravana or Dashagriva at that time to go above. But Dashagriva just insults him and then moves along. So then at that point, Nandishwara curses Ravana. and he says that you're making fun of me because I look like a monkey. He says in the future, the monkeys themselves will destroy your whole race. So then when that benediction was given, all the flowers were thrown from the heavenly planets. So then it is explained that at that time, then Shiva comes and he says, okay, well, like he has prayed to me for 10,000 years. So I will give him some benefit, like he says, okay, I will give him some benefit. So Shiva allowed him to go. He said, okay, that's fine, you can go. So that's how it is described that Shiva or Dashagriva became a devotee of Shiva. At that time also Shiva gave him the name Ravana. Ravana means one whose cry is very terrible, because when he was crying, essentially all the demigods, all the human beings, everyone, they became quite disturbed by his crying. So that is the meaning of the name Ravana. So then Ravana, basically now he had some benedictions from Shiva also, he had benedictions from Brahma. So then he decides that the first place he wants to go and conquer is, he says, I've already destroyed Kubera, now I will destroy the remaining 3 Lokpals. So then he goes to Varuna, and then, does anyone know who Varuna is the lord of? Water, seas. Yeah, so Varuna looks after the seas. So then it is explained that he went to the abode of Varuna and tried to challenge him. But Varuna was not there. He had gone to a sacrifice, to attend a sacrifice in Brahmaloka. But Ravana came and he defeated his sons and left. Then he decided, now it is time for me to go to the hellish planets, challenge Yamraj. That was a very terrible battle, like between because Yamraj cannot be defeated. So Yamraj was so close, like when the battle was happening, Ravana saw all of the people that were suffering in the hellish planets, and he thought that, why are these people suffering so much? So he said all of these people deserve to be freed. So he went and he started opening all of their shackles and releasing all of the souls back into this universe. So when Yamraj saw that, he became extremely angry. And then Yamraj came and there was a huge battle between both of them also. At one point it is explained that Yamraj was so angry with Ravana that he pulled out his rod of death. This rod of death is essentially something that is used to destroy the whole universe. So he was about to pull that out, and even Lord Brahma could not have stopped that if that would have happened. But Lord Brahma, that's why, appeared, and he said that actually Ravana has received a boon, that he cannot be killed by anyone. So he says, please don't make the boon go waste. So he says, that's why, please don't kill him. So then at that point, Yamraj says, well, if I can't kill him, then there's no point in fighting with him. So he also vacated Yamloka and he disappeared also, it is explained. So now the only Lokpal that was left was Indra. So now basically Ravana, he gathers all of his forces, and then he also goes to Mandodari's father. Does anyone know what is Mandodari's father's name? He is Madhu demon. Have you heard Madhu? There's one demon. There are 2 demons, Madhu, Kaitava. Have you heard those names? Yeah, so Madhu was the father of Mandodari. So he takes Madhu, and Madhu also had 2 other sons whose names were Mayavi and Dundubi. Anyone know where these demons come? In Ramayana, Mayavi, Dundubi, there are 2 demons. You guys don't read Ramayana actually, not very good. You should read Ramayana. Yeah, so these 2 demons, Mayavi and Dundubi, are the ones that are killed by Vali. So Dundubi is the first one that is killed by Vali, and then Mayavi is the second one who Vali is fighting in the cave with for 28 days, and then they see blood. So these are also, you can say, all relatives of Ravana. So basically after that, he takes his father-in-law and all of the forces from his father-in-law, and then he goes and attacks Indra. So Indra, when he notices that Ravana is coming, he goes to Lord Vishnu and asks him for protection. Lord Vishnu says that actually this is not the right time for me to kill Ravana. He says, I will kill him eventually, but now is not the right time. So then Indra says, well then what am I going to do? He says, you fight. You will probably lose, but that's fine, you still fight. I mean, it must be so disheartening. You know you're going to lose, but you still fight. So then Ravana essentially fought a battle with Indra and all of the other demigods. And again, that was a very huge battle, because in that, lot of Ravana's relatives were killed. So at that point, it is explained that Ravana also lost to Indra. But because his son was there, Indrajit, his name was Meghanath at that time. So Meghanath was the one who knew how to conjure different tricks. Does anyone know who, I didn't explain the history of Indrajit because I don't have time, but does anyone know who Indrajit used to worship? Or Meghanath used to worship? No, it's quite surprising actually. He used to worship Lord Vishnu actually. Yeah, he was a devotee of Lord Vishnu, which is kind of unusual because not many demons are devotees of Lord Vishnu. But that is why he was the most powerful, because he obtained lots and lots of powers. Because he worshipped Lord Vishnu, so much so that he could even defeat Indra. So then he knew lots of magic tricks. So he casted lots of magic tricks, and ultimately he caught Indra and made him a prisoner. And then Ravana was so happy. He, announced his victory, and he was taking Indra everywhere, showing the whole universe, see, I've defeated this Indra, showing everyone. So then after defeating him, he came back to his Lanka. And when he came back to Lanka, then Lord Brahma came. And he said that, your son has defeated Indra, but I need Indra to do some things for me. So your son will be glorified throughout this universe and throughout the ages as Indrajit. I give him that benediction. So now you please release Indra. So Ravana was not interested in killing Indra. He was more interested in showing off his power. So then he basically released Indra, and Indra went back. So that is explained at that time. And that's how Meghnath got the name Indrajit. So that is why the sages, like Agastya was saying, that killing Indrajit was more important than killing Ravana and Kumbhakarna, because it is explained, not that powerful. Like even Indra could defeat Ravana, it is explained at that time. So the question is, did Ravana lose to anyone? Whom did he lose to? Yeah, he lost to Vali, that's right. So once upon a time, it is explained that he wanted to challenge Vali. So at that time, Vali's ministers were Sugriva, Hanuman, Nal, Nila. So they saw Ravana. Ravana came to challenge Vali while he was doing his Sandhya Vandan at that time. So then he said that, so the minister said, don't interrupt Vali while he's doing his Sandhya Vandan, otherwise he will get extremely ferocious. And then they point to a heap of bones. They show, look, these are all the bones of all of the challengers who challenged Vali. So don't challenge him. But still, he was very proud. So he decided that he's going to challenge him anyways. So as he is sneaking up behind Vali, Vali notices that there's someone sneaking up behind me. So as soon as Ravana close range to attack him, he grabs him by the head and travels 800 times around the whole universe. It is explained. Then after Vali got tired, he puts him down. And then it is explained that Ravana was so impressed by his power that he said that, it is time for us to form a deal. He says that we'll form an alliance. So whenever I need help, you come to my rescue, and whenever you need help, I will come to your rescue. The reason this pastime is recited is because there's one criticism that's raised in Kishkinda Kanda. In Kishkinda Kanda of Ramayana, one of the criticisms that is raised by Vali is that why did Rama decide to side with Sugriva only by hearing one side? Because we know that Rama heard only Sugriva's side, and then he immediately sided with Sugriva. So Vali accuses Rama. He says that why is it that you did not have a court, listen to both of our sides, and then choose someone? So the answer is given here in Uttara. That's why it's explained Uttara is there. Ravana had already formed a pact with Vali, and Vali had formed a pact with Ravana. Now what had happened initially in Balkanda? In Balkanda, when Lord Vishnu decided that he is going to appear, he told all the demigods to come as his assistants. Yeah, so he basically then all the demigods took birth as different monkeys. So Lord Brahma came as, whom did Lord Brahma come as? Jambavan. Then Surya Dev came as? No, Sugriva. Indra's son came as Vali. So Indra's son was meant to assist Rama, not fight against him. So by forming a pact between him and Ravana, he was going against his original promise. So he deserved to be killed anyways. So that is why Uttara is very important. We can't remove Uttara from Ramayana. That is how it is explained. All these links are there essentially. Then so this Vali was defeated. Then there was another king called Kartivirya Arjun. I don't know how many of you know about Kartivirya Arjun, but he is also known as Sahasrabahu. He is the one who had 1,000 arms, this king. So one day this Sahasrabahu was playing with his wives in the river. And he was intoxicated at that time. So to show his power, he was blocking off the river, like making a dam and then releasing all of that water. And that's how he was playing. It is explained that Ravana was downstream of that river and he was trying to perform some Sandhya Vandan or whatever his austerities he was doing. So then it is explained that when he was looking for water, all the water disappeared because Sahasrabahu blocked off the way. And then as he was looking for water, he released his arms. So then Ravana got flooded. So he became extremely annoyed. Ravana, he said, who is playing tricks with me like this? So he sends his ministers to find out what's happening. So the ministers say that actually there is this Sahasrabahu who is playing with his wives, and he is the one who is blocking all of this water. So Ravana goes to challenge him. So his ministers say that he is with his wives, you should not challenge someone who's with his wives. But Ravana doesn't care. So he again killed the ministers and ate them. That's what he used to do. He used to eat people. So then it is explained that after that, he became, Sahasrabahu came. And even though he was intoxicated at that time, he fought with Ravana only for 20 minutes or so. He defeated Ravana very quickly. And then he bound him with lots of chains, and then he dragged him inside his kingdom, showing everyone. Like, you know how Ravana showed Indra around? That's how Kartivirya Arjun showed Ravana around. So basically, that's what was happening. So then the sage Pulatsya, so Ravana's grandfather, he came and requested Kartivirya Arjun to release Ravana, because he says, you have shown your power, and Ravana can be a great asset to you in the future if you need. So then they both form an alliance, and then they say the same thing. If you need help from me, I will help you. If you need help from, if I need your help, you can come and help me, like that. This story is recited because in the Kanda, it is said that when Lord Ram defeated Parshuram, it was already declared that Ravana is killed. Now the question you may ask, why is it said like that? Why is it said that as soon as Lord Ram defeated Parshuram, you know, like after the marriage, Lord Ram defeated Parshuram. So now the question may be asked, why is it said that Lord Ram, as soon as Lord Ram defeated Parshuram, Ravana is killed? Who killed Kartivirya Arjuna? Parshuram was the one who killed him. Yeah, so Parshuram, when his calf was stolen, basically then Parshuram goes and he chops off Kartivirya Arjun's head. So because Parshuram had defeated Kartivirya Arjuna and Rama had defeated Parshuram, therefore, logically speaking, Rama had already defeated Ravana, essentially. So that is how all of these questions are also answered. So then going along, so basically there is the story of Ravana coming across Vedavati. How many of you know this story? Yeah, you know this story of Ravana coming across Vedavati. Yeah. So basically what happens is, once upon a time Ravana was going across in a forest and he notices a very beautiful hermit girl. Hermit girl means like a sadhvi or a tapasvi. And her hair are matted and she's wearing deer skin. So she looks like a tapasvi. So at that point Ravana becomes extremely attracted by her beauty, and then he goes and grabs her hair. So Vedavati, she becomes extremely annoyed at this, and she takes her arm, she converts it into a sword and she chops off her hair. So then he says that, you know, you are so beautiful, who are you, why are you going around in this forest, etc. So then she says that actually I am Vedavati, and she says that I am traveling around in this forest and I am performing austerities because I want to marry Lord Narayan. So then he says, who is this Narayan? Like, I've never seen him, never heard of him. He's not that powerful. I am more powerful than Narayan. So she becomes extremely annoyed and she says that because you have insulted Narayan, she says, I will personally become the cause of your death eventually. So then and then she basically goes and she enters into a lotus flower that was there at that region. So then Ravana, he is still so attracted to that Vedavati. So he takes that flower and he comes back to his kingdom. Now when he comes back, all of the ministers of Ravana, they tell him that, you know, like, mate, use your brain. Like, she has cursed you that she is going to kill you and you still want to keep her at your side. So he says, throw her away. So he takes the flower and he throws it into the ocean. So then it is explained that Vedavati, from the ocean, using a mystical power, she went, she implanted herself into the sacrificial altar where Janak Maharaj was performing his sacrifice. So then that is why Vedavati was there in the ground, and then when Janak Maharaj was doing his plowing at the end of his sacrifice, Vedavati was born. So in Satya Yuga, that same personality was Vedavati, and then in Treta Yuga, she came as Sita. Yeah, so this is another question that is answered, that how Sita came from Janak Maharaj's land, etc. Then one day he was again traveling, and then he saw that there was an Apsara Rambha. Yeah, so this Rambha was none other than the wife of Nala Kubera. You know who is Nal Kubera? Nal Kubera, Manigriva, we recite during Damodarashtakam pastimes. But he is the son of Kubera. And then he became extremely attracted by Rambha, and then he said that, you know, I want to marry you. So she said, you should have some shame. She said, you are my father-in-law. So he says that you're an Apsara. Your Apsaras don't have any father-in-law, any husband, etc. So he said that I can also enjoy with you, and he forcibly enjoys with her. It is explained at that time. So then when Nal Kuvera finds out about this, he curses Ravana, and he says that next time you try to enjoy with any woman against her will, your head will burst into pieces. So then it is explained that all of the women and all of the girls that had been captured by Ravana, they were extremely pleased and they were so happy. And all of the devas were also very happy when this curse was announced. And after that, Ravana became extremely careful in terms of whom he interacted with. So after all of these pastimes are narrated, then there are still lots more pastimes about Ravana, but because you didn't ask for the first half, I only recited like some of these. So then basically what happens after that is that Lord Ram then wants to hear the pastimes of Hanuman also. So then the whole story of Hanuman is recited, like how Hanuman was able to get all of his benedictions and everything. That we already discussed when we were doing Sundarkand, so I'm not going to discuss that. So then it's explained that all of the monkeys and including Vibhishana, they all stayed in Rama's kingdom for over a month. And they received all kinds of benedictions from him. They sat with him, they ate with him, they discussed stories and pastimes with him, and they were extremely pleased at their association. It is explained that a whole month passed as if just like a minute. So time passed very quickly. So then Rama told Vibhishana and all of the monkeys that they should start to go back. So then at that point, Ram approaches Hanuman and he says that you have served me very well. He says, I want to give you a benediction. Please ask me something. So then Hanuman says that the only benediction I want from you is that as long as Ramayana is being recited on this earth, I want to be present in that place and I want to listen to your pastimes. So Lord Ram said that as long as the mountains stand on this earth and as long as rivers continue to flow, for that period of time, Ramayana will continue to be recited on this earth. So he says your lifespan will be that much. So he receives this benediction and then they all start to depart. So then after that point, one day Lord Rama was, going around with Sita in the garden, and then he notices that Sita is pregnant. So then he asks Sita, he says, is there some benediction or any desire you have that I can fulfill? So then she says that actually, these last 14 years, well, out of these, the 13 years, she said these were the most joyous years of my life. Why? Because she said I was able to get the association of all of these sages and live a very simple life in the forest. She says, I also want to visit the sages and I want to listen to some Katha again. So Lord Ram says, yeah, sure, no worries, I will fulfill your desire. So then at that time, Lord Ram, ruling as a king, he decides to ask he asks Bharata, what's the status in the kingdom, everyone happy? So then Bharata says that yes, actually all the diseases have gone down. It's explained that no one is dying an untimely death. Interestingly enough, I noticed it this time, but he also said that women have also stopped experiencing labor pain, apparently. So last time when I read it, I skipped this section, but this time I remembered it. But anyways, that's right. So yeah, so all of the women also stopped having labor pain. It is described. Yeah, and no children died in his kingdom. So Rama was extremely pleased. He said that's good, but Rama could sense that there's something wrong. So then he called his messenger, not Bharata. This time he called his messenger Bhadra, and he asked him that I know there are some rumors going around. Can you please tell me openly what's being said? So then he says that actually the people in your kingdom, they don't trust you very much. So he said, why is that so? He says the reason they don't trust you is that you accepted a woman, Sita, who lived in another man's house for 1 year. He says people are saying that if Rama can accept a woman who does not have any good character, he says then we will also be forced to accept women who do not have a good character. And he says that because of this, women also get the power and authority to become characterless, because they will say, look at our queen, she is characterless, so we can also be characterless and the husband has to accept us. So he says this kind of talk and discussion is going around in the kingdom. So Rama, when he heard this, he was extremely distressed. His heart started hurting and his tears started flowing from his eyes. Because he knew in his heart that Sita is pure, but still people were saying all these kinds of things. So Rama was thinking about this for some time. For half an hour to 1 hour, he was just alone in his room. Then he summoned all the 4 brothers. All the 3 brothers. So he summoned Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrughna. and he told Lakshmana, he said that, these are the rumors that are going around. He says, if I need to have authority to rule as the king, and if I need to be blemishless, without any blemishes, he says, I need to get away from Sita. So he says that, so then all the brothers are looking at themselves like, okay, so why have you called us, So then he says to Lakshmana, he says, now I need you to do a task for me. He knows that Lakshmana will probably say no. So he says, if you don't do this task, so even before giving the task, he says that if you don't do this task, I will have to cut my relationship with you also. So then Lakshmana understood that there is something serious that is coming through this. So he says that what I want you to do is, Sita recently wanted the benediction that she wants to go to the forest and meet all of the sages. So he says, take her next morning, take her on the chariot, take her past the river, I forgot, Gomti river, sorry. Take her past the Gomti river. Over there is the ashrama of Valmiki. So drop her at Valmiki's ashram and come back. So then Lakshmana is distressed because he doesn't want to follow the order, and he's extremely angry and his eyes are red, but he can't do anything because Rama promised him that if he says anything against him, he will cut the relationship. So then the next morning, Lakshmana goes to Sita and asks her to dress up very well. So she dresses very well. She tells her to wear very nice jewelry also. And he says, we are going to the forest to see all of the sages. So then he takes her, as he is taking her, he is crying uncontrollably. So she is confused. She's saying, why are you crying? We are going to meet all of the sages. So he doesn't say anything. So then when they come near the Gomti river, at that point he drops Sita. And then Sita says, okay, Lakshmana, just wait, I'm going to come back. I'll meet Valmiki and all of the sages and then I will come back. So then Lakshmana could not control his emotions and he starts crying and he falls down on the ground. So then she lifts him up and she says, why are you crying like this? I'll be back in 5 minutes. You don't have to be like so distressed. And then we'll go and meet some other sages. So then he says that actually I've received order from Lord Ram that I'm meant to drop you here because people are questioning his authority. They're saying that, if Ram can accept a characterless woman, then all the citizens in the kingdom, they are also thinking that we can also be characterless. So because of this, with a very heavy heart, Lord Ram has decided to part ways from you and you need to remain in Valmiki's ashrama. So then Sita, when she hears this, she immediately collapses and she faints. Then somehow or the other, when she gets up, she's also crying. And then she says that, oh Lakshmana, I know that, you are in a predicament. You can't do anything about this situation. But she says that, go and ask Ram. She says, I want you to go and ask him 2 things. Says, from whom did he learn that he can abandon his pregnant wife in the middle of the forest? Did he learn this from his father Dashratha or did he learn this from his guru Vasishtha? She says, but actually regardless of all of that, she says, I understand. Whatever he wants to do with me, I am happy with that. And being his chaste wife, I will always remain chaste to him. So then she is also crying at that point. So then Valmiki, over there in the ashram, he notices that, Sita is there and he recognizes Sita. How does he recognize Sita? Previously, when they were going to the forest, they stopped at Valmiki's ashram. Yeah, so that is why he recognized Sita. And then he obviously did not want to go there personally, so he asked his personal associates he didn't want to go there with a huge crowd because he didn't want everyone to find out what was happening. So he asked his personal servants to go and get Sita, and then he brought her inside and then, asked about what had happened and everything. And then he was also quite distressed. And actually it is explained that at that time, Balkanda starts. So, where does Balkanda start? What is the incident with which Ramayana actually starts? Does anyone know where does Ramayana start? Ramayana starts when Valmiki is asking Narada questions. He says, Tapasvadhyaya niratam tapasvi vagvidam varam Narada paripapracha Valmiki muni pungavam. Because Valmiki, in his mind, he had the conception or he had the impression that Rama is a dharmavan. He is the personality of Godhead and he is the one who sets the principles of religion. So even he at that point was confused that how is it possible that Rama can abandon his pregnant wife into the forest. So he was thinking in his mind, he has these doubts. Is Rama really the Supreme Lord? Is Rama really Dharmavan? So that is why at that time Narad Muni appeared. And Narad Muni, what does he ask him? What does Valmiki ask him? He says, Kono asmi sampratam loke gunavan kasya viryavan dharmagnya kritagnyasya satyavakya dridhavrata. He lists 16 qualities. He says, who is this person present in the world currently? Kon asmi sampratam loke gunavan. Sampratam loke means currently. Who is this person currently in this universe who possesses all of these qualities, including dharmavan and charitrena chakoyukta, which means one who is whose character is completely spotless. So then Narada explains that it is actually Rama. Don't get dissuaded by the events you're seeing. Actually, it is Rama. So that is where Balkanda actually starts. So actually, to understand where Balkanda starts, you need to read Uttarkanda also. That is why Uttarkanda is important. We'll keep coming back to this theme again and again, that Uttarkanda is very important. You can't separate Uttarkanda from the whole of Ramayana. So then Lakshmana is so distressed, like he drops off Sita and he's going back. So the charioteer at that point was Sumantra. So he asks Sumantra, he says that why is it that Rama is undergoing so many calamities? And why is it that, he is separated from Sita, who is his beloved consort? So then Sumantra explains that actually this whole incident was explained by Durvasa Muni to Dashratha. And he says that I was also there at that time. But Dashratha was asked not to recite this incident to Rama. So what did Durvasa Muni tell Dashratha? Durvasa Muni told Dashratha that once upon a time there was a huge battle between the Devas and the Asuras. And at that time the Asuras were becoming more and more defeated. They were being defeated by the Devas. So they go and they decide to take shelter. Where do they take shelter? They take shelter at the feet of Bhrigu Muni's wife, who was known as Kavyamata. Because they think that, well, Vishnu is not going to do any harm to a woman. If they go and take shelter under a woman, nothing will happen. So the demigods, they understood that, the Asuras have taken shelter under a woman, so they go to Lord Vishnu. So Lord Vishnu says, okay, that's fine, I will sort this whole thing out by myself. So basically then what happens is, Lord Vishnu goes and asks Bhrigu Muni's wife to release the Asuras. She says, no, I can't. I've given them protection, I cannot release them. So Lord Vishnu at that time, he took out a Sudarshan Chakra and chopped her head off. So Lord Vishnu doesn't care. Then all of the Asuras, they had nowhere to hide, and all of the Devas came and slaughtered all of the Asuras. So when Bhrigu Muni came back, he found out that Vishnu had basically killed his wife and chopped her head off. So in extreme distress, he cursed Lord Vishnu and he said that just like how separation from my wife, you will also suffer separation from your wife also. But because Bhrigu Muni is also a devotee, eventually he realized and he said he wanted to apologize to the Lord. He says, I want to take my curse back, even if it means I lose all of my tapasya shakti. Because it is explained that if you curse someone and then you take that curse back, you basically destroy all of your tapasya shakti. But Lord Vishnu said that no, actually leave this curse as it is. He says, I will use this curse when I come in the form of Rama. So he says that that is why all of this is happening. So then Lakshmana, when he heard this, he became a little pacified. And he could understand this. So he goes back. So when he goes back, he sees that 2 or 3 days had passed. He sees that Lord Ram has not eaten anything. He has not changed his dress. He was not attending to the kingdom. Like all the files on his table were just like sitting there. Nothing was happening during that time. Because Rama was so distressed. So then when Lakshmana goes and he tells Rama that, Sita has been dropped off at Valmiki's ashram and she is safe. So then Lord Ram becomes a little more pacified. So then he says to Lakshmana, he says that, a king can never be complacent. Complacent, Hindi mein kya bolenge? I don't know. Complacent is like, relax nahi kar sakte king. Thoda bhi loose nahi ho sakte, thoda bhi king. हाँ. So Raja jo hai, the king can never be complacent at all. King always has to keep up his guard. And he always has to execute dharma very perfectly. So then he recites the story of Nriga. How many of you know the story of Nriga? I thought all of you don't read Ramayana, but none of you read Krishna book also. Okay.
I haven't reached.
Oh, you haven't reached that. Oh, okay. Okay, sure, no worries. Okay. So then Lord Rama is explaining about Nriga. He says that once upon a time there was a king called Nriga. And this Nriga, he performed a sacrifice and he had to give charity. So what he did was, to each Brahmana, he was giving 100 cows. So one Brahmana came, he gave him 100 cows. Then when the next Brahmana came, what happened is, he was not guarding the cows properly. So one cow from the previous Brahmana came and joined the other side. So then when the king gave charity to the other Brahmana, he gave the cow which had already been given in charity to another Brahmana, he gave it to someone else. So then the first Brahmana, he goes and counts his cows and he says, I have 99 cows. Where is my 100th cow? So then the other Brahmana counts his cows and he says, there are 101 cows here. So I mean, in nowadays society, what will you say? Yeah, that's fine, just take that cow and give it here, that's fine. But actually it's a very big dharmic issue. Because once you give something in charity, you cannot take it back. Now this king, he had taken the cow, even though it was not under his, it was not actually his fault, but in one sense it was his fault because he was not careful in terms of executing the dharma. So he had given that cow, which was already given to someone else. So then both the Brahmanas, they became extremely unhappy. They left all the 100 cows there. They said that this king does not even know how to give charity. What is the point in taking charity from such a king? And then they both go away. And because of that, basically it is explained that this king had to be born as a lizard. And then Lord Ram actually explains, this is very interesting. He says that this lizard is still alive. And this lizard will live until Dwapar Yuga. Until Lord Krishna comes from Goloka Vrindavan to deliver this lizard. So Krishna is also mentioned in Ram Leela. We understand in Uttara Kanda it is mentioned. His name is also mentioned. Yeah, so then basically as they are talking about this, Lakshmana realizes that there is a dog standing outside the kingdom. So it was the middle of the night and this dog basically came and he was sitting outside. So then Lakshmana goes and asks him, what's wrong? He says that I want to see the king immediately. So the Lakshmana says, come inside. He says, no, I cannot come inside. How can I come inside? I'm a dog. How can I go in front of the Brahmanas? So he said, no, it's okay. Lord Ram treats all of the living entities as his sons. So it's okay, you can come. So then the dog goes inside also. So when the dog goes inside, Lord Ram sets up the sabha. And he asks him, what do you want? Now this is quite interesting. Like the whole Mantri Mandala or like the whole ministry was set up to listen to a dog. Can you imagine that in today's society? Like you won't even listen to people, let alone like dogs. Yeah, so basically everyone was sitting there listening to the dog because the dog had a grievance. So Lord Ram asked him, what's the problem? He says that actually I have been kicked by a Brahmana and I want you to punish this Brahmana. So Lord Ram is thinking, okay, what to do then? So they summon the Brahmana. And then Lord Rama does not ask him, see, this dog has said that you kicked him. Is what he said true? Can you affirm that? Do you want to affirm this or negate this? None of that. Lord Ram asked him, why did you kick this dog? Lord Ram knew how to read the facial expressions and body language and stuff. So because of that, that is also considered one of the arts. So he understood that this Brahmana is definitely kicked him. So he asked him, why did you kick him? So then this Brahmana says that actually for the last 2 or 3 days, I did not get any charity. So I was a bit hungry. And then this dog was sitting in the way and I was asking him to get out. He was not getting out. So I kicked him. Like, hey, get out of here. So he says that I kicked him because I was hungry and angry. Hangry, you could say. Yeah. So he was hangry at that time. Yeah. So then Lord Rama is discussing with his ministers, how should we punish this Brahmana? So then they realize that if anyone causes any unnecessary harm to an animal, the penalty is death. This is according to Dharma Shastra given. But there's a problem because Brahmana cannot be killed. So then they're thinking, what should we do? What should we do? So then Lord Ram asks the dog, what do you think we should do? So he says, you should make him the temple president of whichever temple he is currently serving him. So everyone was a bit shocked. Rama said, yes, do as he's saying. So then that Brahmana there was a big palki, like big procession that was brought along, and this Brahmana was made the temple president of the temple where he was serving. So then all the ministers, they're confused. They said, why is it that he was meant to be given the death penalty? So why is it that you promoted him to the temple president status? So then at that point, Rama said, the dog explained. The dog can explain all of this. So the dog says that, you see, I am currently a dog. He says, in my last life, I was also temple president. Yeah. I mean, Mathadish is the word that is used. Yeah. So he says, I was also the temple president. Yeah. So he says that I was he said, compared to this Brahmana, he said, I was on a completely different level. He says, I was so serious in my service. I was doing the deity worship properly, offering bhoga at the right time, summoning all the guests, feeding them nicely, etc. He said, but still I must have made some mistake because of which I am born as a dog. He says, now look at this Brahmana. This Brahmana does not have his senses under control. He cannot control his hunger, he cannot control his thirst, he cannot control his anger. And look at him, when he is promoted to the position of temple president, he is so happy. So he says that this means that when he becomes temple president and commits some kind of offense, he says the offense will not just apply to him, but to 7 generations even below him. So he is basically ruining his whole family by becoming temple president, even though he is not qualified to become a temple president. So then all of the demigods were like, oh my god, like this dog is like very intelligent. So then it is explained that that dog, he became happy and then he wagged his tail, went out, and then he left his body. He went near the rivers, he left his body and then went up to the heavenly planets, it's explained. Yeah, so then after that it happened, another incident happened, very similar. So one day one Brahmana came to Ram and he was crying. So this Brahmana said that, Lord Ram, you need to come and listen to my grievance. So Lord Ram said, okay, what is your grievance? He said that my son has died. My newborn son has died. He says, according to Shastra, it is said that if a king is ruling nicely, remember we said this in the start of the class also, if a king is ruling the kingdom very nicely, no untimely death should happen. So he says that that means you're not ruling the kingdom properly. Someone is committing sins in your kingdom. So then Lord Ram becomes a bit worried. So he summons all of the mantris and all of the rishis and he's asking them, like what happened? How is this possible? So at that time Narad Muni comes and Narad Muni says that actually Ram, there is one person who is not qualified to perform, I will say the thing. There is one Shudra who is performing austerities and because of that, this child has died. I will come to the reason why this is controversial and why it's bad anyways. So then Lord Ram decides to circle the whole kingdom. He goes across to the north, south, east, west, etc., finding where this person is on his chariot alone with a sword in his hand. So then he comes across, he sees that there is one person, black, very black color person, who is hanging upside down on a tree and he is performing meditation like that. So then Lord Ram asks him, he said, who are you and what is the purpose of your performing austerities? So he says that actually I'm performing these austerities because I want to go to the heavenly planets in my own body. So then Lord Ram asks him, he says that, what is your caste? So he says, I am a Shudra. Immediately, even before he could complete that statement, Lord Ram takes out his sword and chops off that guy's head. Now this you can imagine is very, very controversial. So as soon as that happened, all the Devtas came and they showered flowers on Lord Ram. Now you can imagine, people will come, oh, Rama is casteist. Rama does not like Shudras, actually like that. But the explanation is given. So in Satya Yuga, it is explained that everyone could perform austerity. No, sorry. In Satya Yuga, it is explained that only the Brahmanas could perform austerities. Only Brahmanas were allowed. In Treta Yuga, the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas were allowed to perform austerities. In Dwapar Yuga, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas were allowed to perform austerities. In Kali Yuga, because everyone is Shudra, the Shudras are also allowed to perform austerities. So in that age, for a Shudra to perform austerities, and that too for what? What was he performing the austerity for? He was performing the austerity to go to the heavenly planets in his current body. Now that is not possible. Indra will not allow that, or the laws of the universe do not allow that. Because if that happens, then the balance of the universe will change. So because he was performing austerities like that, it's like basically like Hiranyakashipu and all of these demons performing austerities. It's exactly the same as that. So he was performing austerities with this demoniac mentality, and actually it is explained. If you read in more detail, the Brahmana says that, or the Shudra says that actually he wants to become at the same level of Shiva. So that is why his name was Shamba. That was his name. He took that name upon himself because he wanted to become at the same level of Shiva. So based on all of these reasons, Lord Ram cut his head off. Yeah. Now superficially this may look very casteist, but actually if you read the Shastras, there is nice explanation for why Lord Ram did that. Yeah. So then after that, some of the rishis, they come to Lord Ram again. Now the rishis come and they say that there is one demon known as Lavanasura. Lavanasura is terrorizing the whole of Madhuvan. There is one place called Madhuvan, and this Lavanasura is terrorizing Madhuvan. So they say that this Lavanasura needs to be killed. So Lord Ram summons his 3 brothers and he says, Bharata, I have a task for you. I need you to kill a demon. So then Shatrughna jumps forward and he says that actually, Lord Ram, Bharata was serving you very nicely in your absence. He was ruling this kingdom. He deserves a break. I can go and kill Lavanasura. So Lord Ram becomes very pleased and he says, very good. After killing Lavanasura, you become the ruler of Madhuvan. Oh, then Shatrughna becomes so disappointed. He says that actually, I was just trying to relieve the burden from Bharata. I didn't know that you were going to make me the king of Madhuvan. But he says, now given that this is your order, he says that, okay, fine, I will go. So then Lord Ram explains, and the rishis, Chaivan Rishi and all of them, they explain that Lavanasura, he has a lance. Lance is like a spear. And this spear was given to him by Shiva. And anyone who fights with Lavanasura when he has this spear will die. So was there any notable person who died at the hands of Lavanasura? Yes, there was one of Lord Ram's ancestors himself, whose name was Mandhata. I don't know how many of you have heard that name, Mandhata. So Mandhata fought with Lavanasura while he had the spear and he got killed. So that's why Lord Ram tells Shatrughna to be very careful in fighting with Lavanasura. So then when Shatrughna is going down, or when he is going to Madhuvan, he stops at Valmiki's ashram. And in Valmiki's ashram, he, at that time itself, was when Sita gave birth to twins. So what were the twins named? The twins were named Lava and Kusha. So why were they named so? Don't know. Because what happened is the elder son who was born, Valmiki took Kusha grass. You know Kusha grass? They use for sacrifice and yagyas. So Valmiki took Kusha grass and tied it around him. So then they said that this boy is Kusha. Then from the lower end of that grass, they touched the second boy's head. So the lower part is known as Lava. So it's not love, dance, romance, and that's not the love meaning. Yeah, the love over there means lower part. So lower part of the Kusha grass is known as Lava. So that is why that boy was known as Lava. So then Shatrughna becomes very happy that, Lord Ram has 2 twins that are born of him. And then he goes to Madhuvan. So in Madhuvan, he arranges it in such a way that he knows the daily schedule of Lavanasur. During the daytime, he goes to hunt. And at that time, he doesn't take his spear with him. Because hunting for Rakshasas is like just taking some insects. So very easy for them. So basically what happened is when Lavanasura was coming back, Shatrughna surrounded him and blocked his gate and said, you have to fight with me. So then there was a huge battle that ensued between both of them. And then basically Shatrughna took his sword, which was gifted to him by, does anyone know who Shatrughna got that sword from? Shatrughna got that sword from Rama, but Rama had received it as a benediction. And this was the same sword that Lord Vishnu used to kill Kalanemi. So basically that same sword was given by Lord Ram to Shatrughna. And with that, Shatrughna chopped off Lavanasura's head. And then he became the ruler of Madhuvan. It's explained at that time. So then after he became the ruler of Madhuvan, he was setting up the kingdom. So it took him about 12 years to set up. Then after 12 years, he was coming back to meet Lord Ram again. So then when he was coming back, he stops at Valmiki's ashram again. So now this time, Lava and Kush are 12 years old. And they're reciting Ramayana. They're reciting Ram Katha very nicely. So then when Shatrughna hears this, he's extremely pleased. He says, wow, this is amazing. So then he goes to Lord Ram and meets him and stays in Ayodhya for 7 days. And then Lord Ram tells him that now it's time for you to go back. Your kingdom needs to be looked after. So then he goes back. So then it is explained that Lord Ram, he decided that now it is time for me to do a Rajsuya Yagya. I will do a Rajsuya Yagya to establish my rule over the whole world. So then Bharata and Shatrughna, they say that actually Lord Ram, you should not do that because all the kings are already very favorable towards you. They're already very friendly towards you and they accept you as a protector. So instead of doing a Rajsuya Yagya, you do an Ashwamedha Yagya. So then he does an Ashwamedha Yagya. So then when the Ashwamedha Yagya is happening, the horse goes across everywhere and then what happens? So does anyone capture? That's what everyone thinks. That is why I asked the question. If that is what happened, then I won't ask the question, That's right. Because everyone thinks that happened, that's why I asked the question. But actually that is not what happened. So the horse came back and no one captured the horse. At that time, Valmiki realized that Rama is doing a Ashwamedha Yajna. So he says to Lava and Kush, he says, you go and recite the Ramayana while Ram is performing this sacrifice. He says, if someone asks you, whose children are you? He said, you tell them that you're the disciples of Valmiki. If someone wants to give you any money, you don't take any money. Instead, you just tell them that we are children who eat roots and fruits. What do we have to do with money? So basically, he said only recite the first 20 chapters of Ramayana first, and then see if they are interested, you continue afterwards. It's not like today, like for example, like I'll just speak regardless. I'm not asking you if you're interested or not. I'll just speak. But over there, that time, that was the etiquette. They would judge, okay, if people are interested, if they're not, if they're not doing that, then they will continue. So basically, yeah, they went and they recited the Ramayana. And when they were reciting the Ramayana, Lord Ram became extremely attracted to these two children. And he asked them, whose sons are you? And then they said, we are disciples of Valmiki. So then he says, well, I want to give you 30,000 gold coins each. Then they say that, well, we don't want anything. We are children who live on fruits and roots. And what will we do with money? So then Lakshmana and Bharata, they were looking at these two children and they realized that these two children look exactly like Lord Ram. Does anyone know whose incarnations were Lava and Kush? No. They were actually Indra and Agni. Yeah, so Indra and Agni came as Lava and Kush, essentially. Yeah.
So Love and Kush knows that we are the son of Lord Ram. So
Yeah, they know.
They
Yeah,
know.
they are reciting Ramayana, so they know. That's right. Yeah, but they were told not to reveal this to Rama. So then Rama understands that love when Bharata and Lakshmana, they sense that these two kids must be like Lord Ram. They are literally exactly like Lord Ram. So then they tell Lord Ram, and Lord Ram thinks that, yes, I also think that these two kids are actually mine. So then he asks them, who is your mother? You tell me your mother. So then they had to tell, our mother is Sita. So then Lord Ram finds out that Sita is that mother. So now Lord Ram has an intense desire to get Sita and Lava and Kush back to his kingdom. So he tells Valmiki that, now it's time that Sita comes back. I want to have her as my queen, but she will need to prove her purity again in front of the whole world. So Valmiki asks Sita to dress very nicely. So she wears a very nice red sari. She has all of her ornaments and stuff, and then she comes into the assembly. So Lord Ram says that, he doesn't say it out loud, but he says that, Sita, there have been multiple accusations. There have been multiple accusations that because you lived in Ravana's house, that you have become contaminated by him. So can you please prove your purity to this whole world? So Sita says that, yeah, sure, I will prove my purity. She says that if I am impure, nothing will happen. If I am pure, the earth will tear and I will go inside this earth, she says. So as soon as she exclaims this, the earth literally tears. So Rama's palace splits in two, and from the earth, there's a huge throne that comes. On that throne is situated a very, very beautiful and opulent lady, who is none other than Bhumi Devi. Along with her are all of her Nagas, because she lives with Nags or snakes. And then Sita goes, and that Bhumi Devi, she invites Sita to sit on that throne. And Sita Devi, as she sits on the throne, Sita prays to Lord Ram and prays to Lord Narayan, and then she immediately descends into this earth. So when this happens, all of the demigods, they become quite bewildered. They become so startled. They're thinking, oh my God, what has happened? Lord Ram becomes extremely angry. His eyes become red. His hands are shaking. He pulls out his bow and arrow. He stands up and he demands Bhudevi. He says, oh Mother Earth, he says, give me my Sita back. I want my Sita back. So then he says, if you don't return my Sita, he says, I will destroy every single living entity that is living on this earth. And I will destroy all of the demigods. Lord Ram becomes so angry. But then all of the devatas, including Bharata and Lakshmana, they come and calm him down. They say that, Lord Ram, if you lose your anger like this, what will the people in this kingdom do? Therefore, you're not allowed to lose your anger like this. So please compose yourself and rule this kingdom as a dutiful king. So then Lord Ram establishes a golden statue of Sita, because it is explained that whenever any grahastha performs a yajna, he needs to do it with his wife. So then he establishes a golden form of Sita and then places it next to him. And then whenever he performed austerities with that. So how long did Lord Ram perform austerities like this for? Any idea? More than 1,000? There's a theme going on, you know? 11,000. 11,000, yeah. So 11,000 years he performed austerities like that, and he ruled the kingdom according to the religious principles. The Acharyas say that when Lord Ram was ruling the kingdom, because he was separated from Sita, he was not sleeping on the bed also. He was also sleeping on the ground, and he was not very much interested in eating opulent food. He was eating fruits and roots because he knew that Sita would be eating the same thing. So that is how much love he had for Sita. So then Lord Rama decides that, as he's ruling the kingdom, Brahma and Kala Deva, they realize that it is time for Lord Ram's pastimes to end in this material world. So Kaldev, it is explained, Kala is none other than an incarnation of Paramatma or Vishnu himself. So he takes the form of a messenger and he comes and tells Lord Ram that, there is an important discussion that needs to happen between me and you, and no one can interrupt our discussion. If anyone interrupts this discussion, such a person needs to be killed. So Lord Ram says that, okay, in that case, I should dismiss all of my ministers, all of the guards, and he invites Lakshmana to come and personally guard the discussion because he only trusts Lakshmana. So as they're having this discussion, Kaldeva reminds Lord Ram that, Lord Ram, you are actually the incarnation of Vishnu, and you took and you appeared on this earth to kill all of the demons. All of the demons have been killed, and now the natural order needs to continue. Like Treta Yuga needs to go into Dwapar Yuga also. So time needs to deteriorate, so it's time for you to leave. So as this discussion is happening between Kala and Rama, at that time Durvasa Muni comes. And Durvasa Muni comes and tells Lakshmana that I need to see Rama immediately. So he says, well, Rama cannot be seen now because he's in an important discussion. No one's allowed to enter. Durvasa Muni says that if you don't allow me to enter, I will curse every single living entity present in this kingdom to die immediately. So then Lakshmana is in a conundrum. He's thinking, should I allow all the living entities to be cursed, or is it better that I die? So then Lakshmana decides that it's better for him to interrupt. So he opens the door and then he goes inside. As soon as he opens the door and goes inside, Lord Ram shuts his eyes because he knows that something inauspicious is going to happen now. And tears start flowing from his eyes because now he has to deal with Lakshmana in this way. So then Kala Deva, after saying this, he disappears. Now Rama does not know how to deal with the situation. So he summons all of his ministers and he asks them, well, now according to my rule, I have to kill Lakshmana. But how can I kill Lakshmana? So then the ministers say that for a Kshatriya, to kick him out of his kingdom or to exile him from his kingdom is also equivalent to death. So they say that now Lakshmana needs to leave this kingdom. So then with a very heavy heart, Lakshmana leaves the kingdom. And Lakshmana goes to the river Sarayu, and over there he performs austerities. It's said that he closed his eyes and he went half into the river Sarayu. And as soon as he went half into the river Sarayu, a very beautiful chariot came from the spiritual world with Vishnu Dutas and took Lakshmana on there and departed. So then Lord Ram decided that now that my brother has left, he says, I cannot live in this material world. He says, it is time for me also to leave. So then Lord Rama, when he decides to leave, all of the citizens, including Lakshmana including Bharata and Shatrughna, all of them also decide to follow him. All of the human beings, all of the rishis, all of the animals also, all of them followed Lord Ram into the Sarayu river. And as soon as Lord Ram entered into the Sarayu river, again huge chariots came and the chariots took all of the Ayodhya Vasis and Lord Ram back to the spiritual world, to Vaikuntha. So after that it is explained that Ayodhya was completely empty. So Lord Ram was not living in that kingdom. So that it is said that Uttara Kanda, anyone who recites Uttara Kanda or anyone who listens to Uttara Kanda with faith, it is said that they will ultimately attain the spiritual kingdom at the end of their life. They will obtain Shuddha Bhakti and their life will become successful. So was it true that Ayodhya was completely emptied at that time? So yes, Ayodhya was completely emptied at that time, and Lava and Kusha were given different parts of the kingdom to rule. But Lord Rama was not partial. He gave a part of the kingdom to Lakshmana's two sons. Then he gave part of the kingdom to Bharata's two sons also. And Shatrughna gave his kingdom to his sons also. And then they all exited. and it is explained that Lava and Kusha, they established their capitals in different cities. None of them wanted to come to Ayodhya because it was extremely distressing for them to come back to Ayodhya and bear the separation from Lord Ram. So then it is explained that one day, however, Kusha was with his wives. He had many wives. And one very beautiful demigoddess came to Kusha. And she said that, I have been abandoned for many years. I want to gain the association of rishis again. So then they said, who are you and how should we give you the association of rishis? So she says that I am actually Ayodhya Devi. And she says that I want you to come and re-establish Ayodhya again. So then Kusha took the responsibility of re-establishing Ayodhya from the roots again. So he re-established Ayodhya and made it into a fully functioning city afterwards. And then the descendants of Lava and Kusha and all of them, they continued to rule throughout this. So when did the Surya Vansha or the lineage of Lord Ram actually end? Does anyone know? Or is it still continuing? So it ended in the Mahabharata war. In the Mahabharata war, the king who was there on the Sola dynasty side, he sided with Duryodhana and he was killed in the battlefield. So with that, Lord Rama's lineage in this material world was stopped, or it came to an end. So having said that, I will finish there. Very emotional kind of pastimes of Lord Ram, especially from Uttara Kanda. But we have to understand that Hanuman always recites Ramayana with tears in his eyes. So if the pastimes of Uttara Kanda were actually quite distressing, or if they were really filled with sorrow, Hanuman would not recite them for time immemorial. So the reason Hanuman recites the pastimes of Lord Ram, even though they're distressing, is even though superficially they taste distressing or they look distressing, internally they're filled with complete bliss and complete nectar. Why? Because anything that is related to the Lord is completely filled with bliss and ecstasy. So that is why the devotees, even though the Rama Leela is filled with very heavy emotions, they continue to recite these pastimes of Lord Ram. But having said that, I will finish there. If anyone has any questions or anything you want to ask or anything you want to share, you can do so now. Yes, Prabhu.
Earlier you had mentioned those Ayodhya-vasis who were asking Lady Sita for chastity. So finally, where did they?
Yeah, that's true. So some Ayodhya-vasis were even questioning the character of Sita. So how is it possible that they also went to the spiritual world? So actually that is explained by Madhvacharya, that those Ayodhya-vasis who were questioning the character of Sita were actually Rakshasas. In their previous birth, there's a story about them also. That's why there's so many stories in Uttarakanda. But yeah, so in a previous birth, these Rakshasas, they performed immense austerities to please Lord Brahma. And when Lord Brahma became pleased, he asked them, what benediction would you like? So they said that, well, we want the benediction to perform as many sins as possible, but still go and get liberation. I mean, sounds like people like us, right? Like we want to do whatever we want, but ultimately we all want liberation. Kind of sounds like people of Kali Yuga. But yeah, that's what they desired. So Brahma said that, yeah, sure, I can give you that benediction, that as long as you keep performing sins, you can still go to the spiritual world. But if you try to separate Vishnu and Lakshmi at any point, you will go to hell. You will not get the results of your benediction. So that is why it is explained that Lord Ram arranged his pastimes in such a way, and that is why he voluntarily accepted the curse of Bhrigu Muni, where Bhrigu Muni wanted to separate Lord Ram and Sita. He wanted to separate Vishnu and Lakshmi. He voluntarily took that curse upon him so that he could punish these Rakshasas and send them to hell. So basically it is explained that as soon as Sita went into the earth, these Rakshasas also went into the hellish planets immediately after that. So the original Ayodhya-vasis, or the eternal associates of the Lord in the spiritual world, they are all pure devotees of the Lord, not these Rakshasas. But these Rakshasas were mixed with the pure Ayodhya-vasis also at that time. Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. Oh, question? Yeah, sure.
So there was no Agni Pariksha as such.
Agni Pariksha happened in Yuddha Kanda. That happened before so after Ravana was killed and before Rama went to Ayodhya, at that time Agni Pariksha happened. Yes. Yeah, so Sita technically got tested twice. Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah, sure.
So you said and came back. And where did love reside?
Yeah, so Lord Ram divided the kingdom into an east and west part. So the eastern part was given to Kusha, and the western part, no, sorry, eastern part was given to Lava, and western part was given to Kusha. So he established his kingdom in another part of Koshala. Ayodhya was a city. Koshala was the kingdom. Yeah, so he established it there.
Is it true कि जैसे रावण ले गया था वो वेदवती थी सीता नहीं?
Vedvati is Sita technically, but
It's a previous birth.
that's right. But Ravana captured Maya Sita. The Sita also has, so he cannot touch real Sita. So Sita had a shadow, who is Maya Sita, and Ravana captured her and took her to Lanka. Yeah, that is there. Yeah. Okay, so we will finish there. हरे कृष्णा वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री श्री राम सीता लक्ष्मण हनुमान की जय।
मैं गलत भी हो सकता हूँ।
नरसिम्हा
कुछ अलग ही ना मेरे को मोक्ष से मिलेगा। उन्होंने कहा कि मांडुकी पढ़ो।
वो नहीं पता।
मांडुकी
मांडू के उपनिषद नहीं, मैंने नहीं सुना।